It was one of those gray mornings when the world felt like it had forgotten how to smile. The sky hung heavy over the small town of Willow Creek, its streets wet with last night's rain. People hurried past one another, eyes low, hearts closed, minds lost in the rush of their own troubles. But among them walked a little girl named Lily Carter, her small red umbrella tilting awkwardly over her head, her shoes splashing through puddles as she made her way to school. She was only 9, with freckles like tiny constellations scattered across her nose, and eyes that carried a light far too big for her small frame. Lily was the kind of child who still believed in things, hope, kindness, magic in the smallest moments. Yet life hadn't given her much reason to. Her mother, Sarah, worked 2 jobs just to keep their little apartment warm, and her father had left when Lily was 5, chasing dreams that didn't include them. Still, every morning, Lily would whisper to herself before stepping out the door, "Be kind today. No matter what. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small good deeds to change the world, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness. Let's spread stories that remind us that goodness still matters." That morning at Willow Creek Elementary, the rain had soaked everyone's moods. The teacher, Mrs. Wilson, had a tired voice as she began the lesson, and the children were restless. Sitting at the back of the class was Ethan Briggs, a boy with a reputation that followed him like a shadow. He was taller than most kids, his clothes often unwashed, his eyes always a bit angry, like he was fighting a battle no one else could see. Rumor had it his dad drank too much, and his mom was never home. Most kids avoided him. But not Lily. She had tried before to smile at him, even say hello, but he would just glare or mutter something rude. Today, though, something inside her told her to try again. During recess, as the rain turned to a drizzle, she saw Ethan sitting alone on the steps near the playground, drawing shapes in the mud with a stick. Lily hesitated. Her friends were calling her to play, but her heart tugged her in his direction. So she walked over, careful not to scare him off, and sat a few feet away. For a while, neither of them spoke. She simply began humming a song, softly, like the wind after rain. Ethan finally glanced at her. "Why are you here?" he asked bluntly. Lily looked up and shrugged. "Because no one should sit alone." He frowned, then looked away. But she stayed. And in that quiet moment, a seed of kindness was planted, one that would grow roots deeper than either of them could imagine. Days turned into weeks, and though Ethan still acted tough, Lily kept showing up, with a smile, a shared snack, or a crayon when his broke. Slowly, he began to change. He didn't yell as much. He started helping her carry her books. Other kids noticed, but they didn't understand. They teased her, called her the kindness girl or Ethan's charity project. Yet Lily never stopped. At home, things weren't easy either. Sarah came home exhausted each night, her uniform stained from the diner, her hands cracked from cleaning. But when she looked at Lily, she always tried to smile. Lily would help with the dishes, talk about her day, and share stories about her friend Ethan, though she didn't tell her mom how mean the other kids could be. She didn't want to worry her. Then one day, everything changed. It was the Friday before Christmas break. The air was cold, and the world outside was white with frost. As the final bell rang, children rushed out, laughing and shouting with joy. Lily waited for her mom, who was supposed to pick her up after work. But an hour passed, and she still hadn't come. The sky darkened, and snow began to fall. She sat on the curb, clutching her backpack, shivering. Ethan was the last one left, waiting for his older brother who never showed up either. He noticed Lily across the street, her small figure trembling. He crossed over and stood beside her. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, but her lips were blue. "Mom's late," she whispered. "I'm fine." But she wasn't. Ethan hesitated, then said, "Come on. My house is close. You can wait there." Lily wanted to say no. She'd heard about his house, the shouting, the broken windows, but the cold was too much. So she followed him. The Briggs house stood at the edge of town, near the woods. The yard was littered with old tires, and the porch creaked as they stepped on it. Inside, it smelled of stale beer and smoke. A man lay passed out on the couch, Ethan's father. The TV flickered with static. Ethan led her to the kitchen, where he poured her a cup of warm water and handed her a blanket. "It's not much," he said softly, "but it's warm." In that dim kitchen, surrounded by brokenness, Lily saw something beautiful, a boy who had every reason to be cruel, choosing instead to be kind. For the first time, she realized that kindness wasn't about who had the most, it was about who gave even when they had the least. Hours later, Sarah finally arrived, frantic and tearful. The bus had broken down, and her phone had died. When she saw Lily safe, wrapped in a blanket beside Ethan, she hugged both of them. "Thank you," she whispered to Ethan, who only nodded shyly. That night, Sarah made them both hot cocoa at their home and sent Ethan home with extra food. From that day, a quiet friendship began between the Carters and the Briggs family. But life wasn't done testing them. A few weeks later, tragedy struck. Late one night, a fire broke out in the Briggs house. Flames tore through the old wood faster than anyone could react. By the time the fire trucks arrived, half the house was gone. Ethan and his father barely made it out alive. The man was injured badly and taken to the hospital. Ethan stood outside, shivering, his face streaked with soot and tears. He had nowhere to go. When Sarah and Lily heard the news, they rushed over. Without hesitation, Sarah took Ethan's hand and said, "You're coming with us." They brought him home, gave him a bed, clean clothes, and warmth. For days, Ethan barely spoke. He would sit by the window, staring out at the snow, lost in thought. But Lily kept sitting beside him, talking softly, sharing stories, coloring pictures, leaving them on his bed with little notes that said things like, "You're not alone," and "Kindness wins." It took time, but slowly, Ethan began to heal. His father eventually recovered and entered rehab with the help of Sarah's church group. Ethan stayed with the Carters until things got better. One evening, as the family sat at dinner, Sarah looked at the two kids and said, "You know, I used to think the world was getting meaner every day. But then I saw how kindness can save people. How it can turn strangers into family." Lily smiled. "That's because kindness always wins," she said. Ethan looked at her and whispered, "Yeah, it really does." Years passed. Life moved forward, as it always does. Ethan grew up, studied hard, and became a social worker, helping children who reminded him of who he used to be. Lily went on to become a teacher, inspiring her students to believe in kindness, just as she always had. But the story doesn't end there. One cold December morning, 15 years later, Lily was walking to her classroom when she heard a familiar voice behind her. She turned, and there stood Ethan, holding a bouquet of white lilies. He smiled. "I wanted to thank you," he said quietly. "For never giving up on me. For believing when no one else did." Tears filled her eyes. "You don't have to thank me," she whispered. "You proved me right. Kindness really won." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness. Your one click helps us share more real stories that remind the world that compassion still matters. Before you go, I have a special request. Comment below what kindness means to you. Maybe it's a smile, a helping hand, or a moment when someone believed in you. Your words might inspire someone who needs hope today. As Lily watched Ethan walk away into the golden winter light, she felt something deep inside her, a quiet certainty that kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change everything. And that day, just like the little girl who believed all along, kindness truly won.